time. Some have already created really robust OER initiatives and programs and presentations. And we sort of work with them to kind of take it to the next level. And then we also have a monthly group call where the whole cohort comes together to talk about, what's going well, what's not going well, questions they have for the other institutions. So in this presentation today, we have 2 schools who are in the current cohort who are going to talk a little bit about what they've been working on and where they've seen success in sort of building institutional OER initiatives. ACC, Austin Community College, wasn't able to make it, but then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about what they've done. And they've actually put together a really, really interesting and robust report about what they worked on that I can share with you. And so the last thing I want to say before I hand it over to Justin. One important part of what we work on in the program is trying to come up with direct tactics. And I think that's often a key part in sort of getting the ball rolling with these new OER initiatives. And basically what we mean by a direct tactic is a strategy that leads directly to a faculty member saying, yes, I'm interested in trying OER. No, I'm not interested for whatever reason, or I may be interested, but these are the questions I have. So basically, strategies that get you a list of names that are potentially interested in learning more or having questions answered that you can then reach back out to and keep communicating with and start those conversations. And we also work on different types of strategies, which are also incredibly important, things that are more indirect, like setting up an OER page on your website, things like that, where people can go for more information, where if they're interested, they can come to you. And I think, those are absolutely valuable as well. But I think in the program, we really stress the importance of doing those kinds of info sessions and one-on-one meetings and direct outreach that lead to a conversation, whether it is a conversation about, yes, I'm interested, or finding out why they're not interested. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Justin at UT Rio Grande Valley, who will talk a little bit about what they've been working on.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Scholarly Communications Librarian at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I'm going to talk about 2 aspects of our institutional plan, our institutional strategies, which are the iterations of the Affordable Textbook Adoption Grant, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's adopting OER for courses and how we've changed that over the years now, and what new professional development we've been getting more successful at doing this past year. So next slide. So our story mostly has been focused around the iterations of the ATA grant program. I just call it ATA because it gets a lot to write out every time. That started as a pilot with 3 courses in, I believe, 2018. I wasn't involved in the pilot. I came on right in the middle of it. So I was involved in the first iteration of the ATA grant program after the pilot. And the first step after we get applications is to, 1, have an ad hoc committee made of faculty members who vote on which slots are going to get filled by which courses. But then I've got to have an initial meeting with the faculty members. And the first time I did it, I tried to do a group meeting. That was the last time I tried to do that. We had 1 faculty member out of 4 show up. It didn't work. I still had to have one-on-one meetings anyway. So now, after the selection process, I set up a series of one-on-one meetings. So last semester we had 10. That was an awful lot of work. Now we're back down to 4 because the grant funding is kind of changed up. And before each meeting, what I do is I prep a list of resources based on the application. So I'll find any OER materials based on the course. And again, I've been doing this work for about 5 years, so I know what courses are going to be easy to convert, but that's not my call to select them. They go up for a vote with the faculty committee. So whatever gets selected, gets selected. And so I just have to do the best I can with the course. And I go over the terms of the grant and ask if they're ready to proceed. So we can handle a drop at any time, but earlier is better. So if a person says, this sounds like a whole lot of work, I don't know if I can do it this semester, I don't know if I'm going to have time. And I ask them at the end of the first meeting, do you think you can do this? Because it's a lot of work. And sometimes they'll say, yeah, and then a week later get back to me and go, no, I don't actually think I can. Earlier is better because then we can go to alternates. If they drop at the last minute, that's a grant that doesn't go out. We finally had someone apply for the grant twice and be awarded it twice. We then had to have a discussion about what the goal of the program was, which was, of course, fundamentally about outreach and professional development. So we felt it was best to only have new applicants each time. So again, in another iteration, we had to add that rule. If you've gotten this grant before, you can't do it again. But in conjunction with that, we're trying to make sure there are OER awards for long-term OER advocates. I see a question, what does grant pay for? It's a stipend, actually. So after the grant is done, a stipend goes directly to the faculty member, $1,500. So what to do when a course isn't successfully converted? As I said, I do an initial meeting each time and say, this is about a successful conversion. You should drop out if you don't think you can do it. We finally had someone who didn't realize that that was the case. And so what I'm doing now, coming up in this next round of them, is I'm taking a page out of the MOU Memorandum of Understanding that a PDX scholar out of Portland State does when they're having their OER creation grant. And I'm going to be going over it line after line to make sure that I'm not missing it on my part. So 3 minutes. And new types of outreach. Next slide. So our first really successful event outside of the ATA grant was our initial Open Education Network workshop after we became members. We allowed over registration for more, which was a little more anxiety than I needed. Now what we would do is an overflow list. So we're doing iterations with these things as well. And we would do 2 events to basically make sure if you can't get to one, you get to another. The stipends were also all paid at once. So these stipends were for OER reviews. So anyone could go to the workshop, but the stipend was for completing a full review on the Open Textbook Library website. And those were all paid at once. So we waited until the very end of it. And that became a problem as well, because now you have people who completed it, the review very early on, then had to wait months until they got their stipend. So then we got a lot of questions about when did this come out. So we've iterated this as well for the next thing I'm going to talk about. So we didn't want them waiting for months. And next slide. The next thing that we've had was the Texas Learn OER professional development. So what we did this time was there were 2 meetings, and this one was the first one handled entirely by our Open Education Librarian, Gabby Hernandez. We had 2 initial meetings, had 40 slots. Let me make sure, which were mandatory. So and the rest was self-paced. So as you know, the Texas Learn OER professional development is self-paced. Those who didn't show up for the initial meetings were dropped, and those slots were filled by the waiting list. And now what we do for paying out the stipend for completing it is we send it out in chunks. So every month we get a chunk of people who have completed the entire self-paced module and completed the final survey that they need to. And that gets sent out and processed. So there's not this very, very long gap of waiting for just $100. The 40 paid slots filled up in a couple hours. And we had many others who volunteered to take it just for free because they wanted to learn more. Luckily, some of those people who wanted to do it were able to jump in because other people dropped out. We've done other types of non-funded outreach, such as emailing campaigns to high enrollment courses in the past. We also check what e-textbooks we can buy for required texts, which has saved a lot of money for students. But our real success stories where we create connections have been these professional development grants. And currently we're building out a custom customer relationship management database to track our outreach and events and see if we can keep the momentum going with all kinds of different outreach that we're doing. So I know I went a little over. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Justin. So now I will hand it over to Dr. Pam Millsap at Lamar State College, Port Arthur, to talk a little bit about what they've been working on this year.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, Lamar State College Port Arthur is a 2-year school, so we award associate degrees and also certificates. And our enrollment varies, but it hovers around 2,400 students. So we actually started last summer when I approached faculty about converting to open educational resources. And we saw the opportunity to partner with Rice University through OpenStax and decided that was a great opportunity to have some support and, you know, be able to learn from others. So we did that. And I had, I think it's up to 15 faculty of our faculty body who volunteered to convert their courses. There was no stipend offered. They just volunteered to do it. And among those faculty, most of them are converting more than one course. Our goal was to make it possible for students to complete the academic core curriculum without being required to buy a textbook. Because Port Arthur's student population does include a high proportion of first-generation economically disadvantaged students. And we have been making systematic planned efforts to reduce costs for students, which included decreasing tuition by 29% in 2019. So we were really kind of against the flow where tuition was rising everywhere. We cut tuition by 29%. So that was an effort to reduce costs for our students. But textbooks, as everybody on this call and meeting knows, they've continued to represent a significant portion of the cost of higher ed. And so we wanted to look into alternatives, and that's how we ended up with OER in partnering with OpenStax. And, you know, while we were coming at it initially from a cost point of view and savings for students, we recognize too that there are other advantages of OER, including, you know, access from day one and some faculty autonomy to adjust the curriculum the way they want it. Because we were having problem with access on day one, especially among our dual credit students. So we believe this is going to solve a lot of issues for us. And we anticipate launching 22 core curriculum courses in this coming fall. And that's kind of it.
Thank you so much. So now I want to talk briefly about Austin Community College. They weren't able to join this presentation, but I think it's worth touching on some of the stuff they've been doing because it's really exciting. So they were in the IP program in 2019, and they've put together this great report. And I'm gonna, well, okay. After I finish talking, I'll throw that link in the chat. And if you're interested in this kind of work, I highly recommend looking at this report because they've really broken down in detail all of the different things they tried and how it went and sort of how they developed their strategies. But I just, wanted to touch on what they saw as their most successful strategies. And I think it was sort of similar to what UTRGV found, that the things that were really successful in building those relationships and leading to really fruitful ongoing conversations were the things that were geared towards professional development. So their top 3 most successful strategies in terms of getting OER adoptions were online OER course, adoption grants, and then OER workshops. So I want to leave plenty of time for questions. So I'll leave that there. But again, I highly recommend checking out this report because it goes into detail about those 3 strategies, but also everything else that they tried and what worked well and what didn't work well, and sort of how they measured results, and a lot of really, really interesting information. And with that, I'll move into questions.
Thank you for your presentation. The first question is from Ravindra Nandigram. Did any science or engineering course adopt OER textbooks?
Yes, I think this was addressed at me. Yes, we have had, I believe, a materials engineering course. Again, these are very difficult to do. I would have to pull up my notes exactly on how we did it, but you're always welcome to email me directly, and I can give you what they actually went with, because that's part of the grant is a second meeting. So we have an initial meeting, and then we have a second meeting, and they have to tell me what they went with. And so I keep that from my records for just situations like this. So they were undergraduate courses.
Lee Usnick asks, how is success measured?
Oh, that's a really great question. So in a couple of different ways. So the most obvious way, and I think I saw another question as well about how savings are calculated, which is a great question. So at OpenStax, we have a number that's the average cost of traditional textbooks. Actually, a really interesting thing about our story with that is we actually had to lower that number because the overall cost of textbooks has slightly gone down for the first time in 50 years. I think very much in part because of the pressure of open textbooks. So it used to be, I think, $90 was the average textbook cost. A couple years ago, I think maybe two and a half years ago, we lowered that number to $80 per textbook. And so that's how we calculate this rough savings amount. So we look at how many students have moved from a traditional book to an OER book and basically multiply that by 80. And then in terms of measuring success overall, so that's a big piece of it, right? Just savings numbers. And that's sort of the easiest to measure. But we think it's really important to sort of think about other factors as well. I mean, something I think about a lot is what are strategies that will sort of lead to the longevity of the OER initiative on this campus? So is there some sort of OER group that's going to be persistent across the years? Are there sort of strategies in place that are set up to reoccur every year? So I think that's really important as well, so that we keep building momentum. But the biggest piece of measuring success is going to be that savings number, just because things like the longevity of the initiative or the really interesting pedagogical things that are happening, we're sort of equally excited about, but it's a little bit harder to measure.
Wade Cornelius asks if there's a copy of the Memorandum of Understanding that you mentioned.
I added a link to our agreement, our application, which is the agreement, which is what I go through line by line now. The MOU that I was talking about at Portland State, I probably have it somewhere if you're interested in that. If I can find it, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, and I got that Austin Community College report link into the chat, by the way.
Do you have information about the ATA grant program on your website? Is that the link we're talking about?
Yeah, I put that link in the chat.
Next question. What is the definition of an affordable textbook?
Those are for the purposes of our grant, it's either an open educational resource, an openly available but not openly licensed, or library licensed with an unlimited ebook license. So we focus not just on purely OER, because that is great for pedagogy and we explain the benefits of open licensing, but it is very important to do everything. Like those engineering courses, we never would have been able to convert if we didn't have library licensed ebooks as well, because there's just not a whole lot of OER out there.
So it's zero cost for the students,
so zero cost
right?
to the students, yeah. And then many of them will also use like a homework system on top of it. So like our calculus does that. So that's why we also created a low cost indicator. Even though we're not required to by Texas law, it just, because of the way the law is written, it says you have to mark OER courses. So it's not zero cost, but it is an OER course. So what do we do to comply with it? So that was, we kind of looked at what the general cost of a homework system on top of OER is, and that's the limit for low cost. So if it's under $40.
Willie Broadway asks, are courses converted department-wide, so all faculty are using the same OER resources, or can one history instructor go out on their own?
Oh, that's a great question. So I can sort of answer that first from the perspective of what I've seen in the program at large. And then if Justin or Pam, you want to talk about what you've seen at your institution, feel free. Long story short, it really depends. So, you know, it depends on the institution, it depends on the department. I've worked with a lot of schools where it really does vary department to department. Some departments really want to go in for a department-wide adoption. Others, they really leave it up to the instructor. So we're sort of happy to do either. But I would say sort of the meat and potatoes of the program is working with individual instructors. I think that's where we end up doing the majority of our efforts. Just because the majority of departments we've worked with, it does tend to be instructors going out on their own. There are definitely department-wide adoptions as well.
We are aiming for department-wide. That's one of the advantages, I guess, of being a smaller school. You know, so we're not talking about one history instructor who creates it and then 30 others have to be convinced to use it. We're much smaller than that. So our aim is to be department-wide, especially because we have really been working with our school districts and promising them for dual credit that we're, you know, aiming to make it possible for them to buy very few textbooks. And none for the core curriculum. And so, you know, it's hard not to go department wide with that promise. But again, because we're a small faculty and a smaller school, we've been able to do that in a collegial way that doesn't feel like trampling on academic freedom, because it's the faculty working with each other, not me dictating, you know, what they need to do.
Lee Kusnik asked, related to that, if you have one in a course that is taught by many people, if one person uses OER, others do not, have there been any research to show the effects of, if there are any differences?
I know that's something that a lot of the schools I've worked with would either like to do or have sort of started creating a process to do that. I get the sense that that's basically such a complicated process to do well, that it's kind of takes a lot of time to get set up. I'd be curious, Justin and Pam, if you guys have started doing anything like that. I know there is research on things like that. I don't know if I've seen specific research coming out of our partner schools.
Well, because we haven't yet implemented, you're right. I mean, we're implementing in fall. We don't have data right now, but we will. I mean, we'll have to compare to longitudinal cohorts, not to other cohorts, because, you know, it won't be like a controlled study where some are OER and some aren't. But we'll be able to compare just historically if our outcomes are better. And I'm just saying, I hope you don't mind, but I do see a question for Lamar about incentives. So I'll just go ahead and answer that. Honestly, no monetary incentives were offered. This was a discussion among our faculty about the advantages of OER, and some of the faculty who were most motivated to do it were those who work a lot with our dual credit students, and particularly our early college high school, where acquiring books by the first day of class has been a huge obstacle because of the way they have to order them. And those faculty were really motivated to do this, so they didn't have to wait halfway through the semester for a student to get a book. I mean, it makes teaching very difficult. So that was a big motivator for a lot of them. Now, they will be able to claim it. We give what's called faculty incentive awards. Every year we have a ceremony. And they will be able to claim this once they've, you know, implemented the course as something they've accomplished. And so there will be a small incentive award. I think it'll be $200 after the fact, but that hadn't even really been discussed. It's really more just they saw the advantages of having their materials ready to go on day one and having more control also over the curriculum. So that was the incentive.
Yeah, incentives is a tough discussion because you don't want to only rely on the people who are hyper motivated, and you also don't want to overuse people's goodwill. It can be a burden. So, you know, I have complicated feelings on this in terms of, you know, as you know, I'm a labor historian. I think about, you know, what kind of environments we create with regards to our labor and how much we can, you know, rely on someone to do it because it's the right thing to do for the students. And it's like, yeah, it is, but we've got to find some way of making the right, and making an award is a great thing because, you know, those things can go into promotion and tenure files. They can help for getting future jobs. You know, we turn those awards into actual capital in the future when we go on to apply for other jobs. So even if they're immaterial now, they could be material in the future. So I always want to like throw that in my little labor analysis.
Absolutely. Because getting that incentive award for various kinds of achievements or innovations definitely can go toward tenure and promotion. So.
Well, everyone, Sonia, Pam, Justin, thank you so much for your presentation. We have about 1 minute, nope, 0 minutes to our next set of sessions. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone that joined us.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a
Thank
great
you so much
day.
for joining. I'll put my email in the chat one more time. It's skb3@rice.edu. And if anyone has any questions about the IP program or anything we talked about, feel very free to shoot me an email.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.